Hello and welcome. In today's video, I'll be sharing with you why I mainly use whole grains, and not only that, I mill my own flour to make most of my breads. But before I continue, I want to do a little disclaimer. This video is not intended to be medical or nutritional advice in any way or form. I am simply sharing with you what I do in my house and why I prefer to use whole wheat grains and berries. I mainly order my wheat berries online, and I think that including sourdough fermentation makes the product even better. That's why I have made so many other videos about using sourdough starter. But I also thought of sharing with you why I prefer to use whole wheat berries. And before I begin my humble explanation, I also want to share two titles of two books that have been very important in my journey. The first book is called Home Ground Flour, written by Sue Becker. I don't have any affiliation with Mrs. Sue Becker, but I highly recommend this book. It has been so important in my learning. She not only shares recipes, but she also gives very good scientific explanation and background on the wheat berries. So I think it's a wonderful beginner's book if you want to grind your own flour. And I'm going to be posting the link to the Amazon store where you can acquire this book if you're interested. The other book that I like a lot also is called From Saint Hildegard's Kitchen, and is based on the writings of Saint Hildegard. It talks about different ingredients and spices and even spelt berries and the benefits of each one of those. I personally like it a lot because I like to bake bread with spelt, which is one of the ancient grains. The breads that I made with spelt are so delicious and so gentle on my stomach. I ended up creating my own recipe, but the book has many recipes with spelt, especially beginning on page 99. I'll also post the link in the description below where you can purchase this book if you're interested. And towards the end of this video, I'll be sharing with you the grain mill that I personally use, as well as my favorite wheat berries for baking bread and other goodies. Let me now move on to one of the main reasons why I have mainly been baking with whole wheat. This is a little bit of a blurry picture of one of my hard white wheat berries. I'm going to try my best to draw a picture of a whole grain and explain to you some of the nutritional benefits and why I am so excited about making my own bread and milling my own flour. Now, for some of you who are expert growers, I want to apologize in advance because that is not one of my skills and talents. So let's go ahead and begin by identifying some of the parts of the grain. Let's pretend that this is a whole grain. When you harvest the wheat, the outside has like a paper thin membrane that covers the entire kernel, and it goes through a process to remove that. It is very easy to remove just with the wind. Some people who harvest their own wheat at home, they blow a fan through the kernels to remove the chaff. Just think of an onion and the paper thin outer layer, and once that paper thin layer is removed, the very first outermost layer of the seed is called the bran, and the bran contains B vitamins and also iron and minerals and even soluble and insoluble fiber. It also has protein and enzymes that help with digestion, especially to digest the bread that we consume. And the fiber that it contains, especially when I mill my own flour and make bread with that flour, it helps me be very regular. The next part is the germ, and this is where the new baby plant is going to grow from. This is where the sprouting it's going to come out. And the germ, it's so important because it contains so many nutrients. It has vitamin E, it has fatty acids, it's also full of antioxidants and mineral, and it has most of the vitamin B of the entire kernel. It also contains many phytonutrients, and in her book, Mrs. Sue Becker calls the germ a nutritional powerhouse. That's how important it is. Now, the remaining part represents about 80% of the seed, and it's called endosperm. The endosperm is the white part of the flower, and this is the portion that we are able to acquire in the stores, and it's mainly protein and starches, and it helps the seed during the germination process. Now, even though this part contains a good amount of amino acids, it is basically deprived of most of the vitamins, the minerals, and the other nutrients that are contained in the bran and the germ. When the bran and the germ are removed from the flower in order to make it more shelf stable in the store, you're basically consuming mainly starches and protein, but not the benefits of all of the other minerals and vitamins contained again in the bran and the germ. In my personal experience, it is very common for me to experience bloating and all sorts of digestive issues when I consume products made with all-purpose flour. However, again, and this is only my personal experience, when I mill my own grains and I keep all of the products, the bran and the germ, and I don't sift my flour, and I make my own bread with that flour, I don't have any of those symptoms. And again, this is just my personal experience. And again, this is my humble drawing of the wheat berry. It is also important to find a good and reputable supplier of the grains, just to ensure that they don't treat the wheat with glyphosate or any other chemicals. And as I promised at the beginning of this video, this is the grain mill that I normally use all the time. It's a Wondermill impact grain mill. It is sometimes very hard to find. It sells out really quickly. I'm going to try my best to post the link to where you can buy it, and if it's not available, you can do an internet search to see the other types of grain mills that are in the market to see which one suits you best. This one I like it better because it's pretty fast. I like to mill a lot of flour sometimes, and this goes really fast and it's very handy, very practical. I also have the manual version of the Wondermill, which is one that you have to crank it with your hand, but I only have that in case I lose power, I lose electricity. I'm able to also mill my own flour if that's the case. Also, a little rule of thumb: 1 cup of grain berries will yield approximately 1.5 cups of freshly milled flour. And finally, I want to share with you the grains that I use the most. I know that when you are beginning, it can feel a little bit overwhelming to know about the different types of grain, but just stick with one. I recommend that you begin with a hard white because it is closer in texture and in color to the all-purpose flour. And of course, spelt is my favorite grain. And these are all of the ones that I personally have at home. I have spelt, I have hard white, einkorn, hard red. I don't like the taste that much. It has some sort of a nutty flavor. and I also have soft white that I'll explain in a moment. And this is a final but very important recommendation for yeast breads or breads that you add sourdough starter or yeast from the store. You're going to be using hard wheat. It doesn't matter the one that you prefer. Again, I recommend the hard white. And for things like cookies and cakes and biscuits and pastries in general, then you're going to be using the soft wheat. And that's it for now. There is so much to learn about the importance of eating everything the way God created it that I could speak for a really long time, but that's it for now. I hope that you have enjoyed this video and that it has been of help. Again, I wanted to share with you my experience and how I like to make my breads at home for the most part. I would also like to hear from you and learn from you, so don't hesitate to leave your comments below. And if this video can be of help to somebody, don't forget also to click like and share with others. Thank you very much for watching and for your time. Have a wonderful and very blessed day.